Eckhart Tolle taught millions of people how to become present, which is wonderful, and it worked. Anxiety quietened, mental noise dropped, people felt genuinely peaceful, maybe for the first time in decades. And then nothing changed. They still had the same job, the same bank balance, the same relationship patterns, the same anxiety. It's just quieter. And there's a word for this that very few in the spiritual community maybe want to say out loud, which is that people get peacefully stuck. And the reason this happens isn't because presence doesn't work. It's because presence was never designed to do what most people are using it for, to make change. And once you see that structural error, you're not going to use presence in the same way again. You'll use it better. So first, let's give credit to where credit is due, of course. Eckhart Tolle identified something real, useful, without a shadow of a doubt. The vast majority of human suffering is not caused by what's happening. It's caused by the story that the mind tells about what's happening. Past regret or future anxiety, the constant narration that turns an ordinary Tuesday afternoon into a great crisis. Presence interrupts that. It's a pattern interrupt. You step out of your own psychological time, the noise drops. That's genuine, it's useful, it's worth learning as a practice. And if you've done this work, if you sat with the power of now or a new earth, you will have felt that shift if you applied it, and you already know then that it works. Something real has happened. The mental chatter, the reactivity, it loosened. Maybe you stopped arguing with yourself so much. That part is not in question, but here's what happens next. You keep practicing, the peace deepens, and slowly, without noticing, you started treating the peace as the destination, as if the goal of your entire life is to sit in a quiet room and observe without judgment. And nobody questions it, of course, because in the spiritual community, being peaceful is often thought of as the highest credential. Very few people ask peaceful about what? Is anything actually moving and changing? And maybe that's what you felt, the quiet suspicion that the calm had become a ceiling. The very thing that freed you from the mental noise has now become a sophisticated way of standing still. And that's not a failure, that's just a diagnostic signal. And it's telling you something very specific. It's telling you, I think, there's a mechanical error. That presence reveals, but it doesn't create. They're two completely different functions, operations. And the entire Be Present teaching collapses them into one often. As if seeing clearly and building deliberately are the same act, but they're not. If we think of a pilot flying with a misaligned engine going off in the wrong direction, presence is the equivalent of turning off the cockpit alarms. The noise stops, the red lights go dark, the pilot feels calmer, more relaxed, but the engine is still misaligned. It's still not functioning in the way he wants. The plane is still drifting off course. The only thing that's changed is that the pilot can no longer hear the warnings. And here's something important that a lot of people miss in this practice. The alarms were never the problem. They were the gift. The alarms were information. They were telling the pilot exactly where the misalignment was. The anxiety, the frustration, the feeling that something is off. Those feelings that you have are not noise. They're feedback, natural, positive feedback. And presence, unfortunately, is usually taught that feedback is something to dissolve. Don't resist it, don't judge it, just observe it. Well, that's fine. I've observed it, I've accepted it, but now what? I'm still misaligned. That, for me, is the question that Tolle's framework leaves hanging. It gets you in the engine room. It gets you to a particular state, shows you how to turn off the alarms, which is peaceful. But once you're standing in that silence, there are no instructions about what to do next. That silence is exactly where the real work begins, but it can become a prison. So let's follow the logic trail. Step 1, you recognize that the mind creates suffering through its own particular and unique narrative. That is correct. Step 2, you step out of that psychological time into present moment awareness. Correct. Sounds great. Step 3, you accept what is. You don't resist the present moment. Lovely. The moment is already manifest, so it's pointless resisting it, arguing with it. It's just mechanical noise. Step 4, well, there is no step 4. This is where kind of the teaching stops. And this is why millions of sincere, intelligent people end up very peacefully stuck in the same lives, just a bit more peaceful, because they were given a brilliant diagnostic tool and told that it was a creative mechanism when it wasn't. Accepting the present moment as a strategy is not the same as accepting the trajectory of your life. You can fully accept where you are right now and still recognize the direction needs to change. Acceptance is not passivity. Passivity is not peace. And sitting quietly while your life runs into a brick wall on autopilot or isn't what you want is definitely not enlightenment. I think it's avoidance with a spiritual and better vocabulary. The moment, well, that's not the problem. The structure running underneath the moment is the problem. And presence used correctly is not where you stop, it's where you actually begin. It's where you finally gain access to a deeper part of yourself. So I want to offer you a correction, an extension. Presence is not a destination in itself. Think of it as a control point or a window into your own unique operating system. So let's look at how that can work. Step one, you use presence, you quiet the mind. Use whatever method you work. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Breath focus, body scanning, watching the thinker. The goal is not emptiness, because that's impossible. The goal is simply reduced noise. So you're never going to stop thinking. You're simply lowering the volume so you can hear what's running underneath. Step two, bring a specific area into focus that's not working for you. Not life in general, but one area. Finances, career, a specific relationship, a moment. Hold it in that quiet awareness in the way that you would hold an object in your hands. Just pay attention to it. Step three is listen to feelings, your feeling tone, what's happening in your body. This is the part that most people have never been taught. Beneath your thoughts about money, beneath your thoughts about work or relationships or self-worth, there are feeling tones. They're not emotions, they're kind of how you feel generally. They're definitely not thoughts, they're silent assumptions that organize your experience. These were running a program underneath. So you can be as present as you like, you're still going to be rerunning that program. So the next one is ask the diagnostic question. Is this a fact about reality? Or is this a structural idea, a belief I made long ago that feels like a fact that I'm trying to just be peaceful with? And these often don't feel like beliefs or ideas. They feel like you're just observing things peacefully, but it's not. It's a decision that's organized your life for decades. So step five, notice the shift. The moment you recognize the belief, then something's loosening. Not because you argued with it, not because you forced some kind of change, just because you are willing beneath the presence to allow these mechanisms to show you. And then you can recognize whether this is something you want to change or not. Use presence as a way to see structures that are happening underneath your conscious mind. And unless you do that, you're simply using presence, which is lovely, but you're just standing in a quiet room, feeling peaceful while the machinery runs exactly how it does. And that might not be how you want your life to be. So let's bring this back to Tolle. This is not about dismissing him, of course it's not. It's about completing the circuit. He showed people how to get beneath the noise, how to stop reacting to every thought, every emotional spike, and that is extraordinary and extremely useful. But I want you to consider that the engine room is not the destination, that it's a starting point. And what you do inside that room, the beliefs you identify, the structural conclusions, the feedback is essential. It shouldn't be dismissed or try to be dissolved. You need to question it, finally hear yourself. And that is where the changes really occur. You don't need more presence. What you need is a method for what to do while you're inside the presence. And so I've created a download unique for this video. It's called the Presence Trap. 5 diagnostic questions that reveal hidden structures running and often ruining your life. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please do consider subscribing for 4 videos a week to get notified about those. Also, maybe like the video and share it, do that YouTube-y kind of stuff, and check out the description for the download and also other free training. That's it. Have a great day. In the comments, let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. And if you've got any questions, I'd love to hear them and I'll answer every single one. That's it. Take care.